It was 1 o'clock a.m. when my fiancé came to pick me up from my night shift at Westside General Hospital. His female assistant was sitting in the passenger seat. She was wrapped in his cashmere scarf, clutching the thermos I'd bought him, and rolled down the window halfway when she saw me. Sorry, Sam, I have a stomachache. I'll throw up if I sit in the back. Ethan stayed in the driver's seat. Didn't even get out. Sophie just finished her tests and isn't feeling well. You're both women. Be understanding. I gripped the door handle, the sharp smell of antiseptic still clinging to the back of my hand. Then where am I supposed to sit? Ethan frowned, the back seat. Sophie turned around immediately, her voice soft and sweet. Sam, why don't I give you my seat? I can tough it out. Really? She said she'd give up the seat, but her fingers tightened around the seatbelt buckle. Ethan's voice dropped. Sam, don't make a patient uncomfortable. I nodded. Fine. I closed the car door gently. He thought I'd walk around to the back. Instead, I turned and walked back into the hospital. 5 minutes later, I sent him a text that we're done. The wedding's off. I turned off my phone, grabbed my ID and bank card from the locker in the on-call room. Zoe Miller, my colleague, came out of the break room with a bowl of instant ramen. She almost spilled soup on her shoes when she saw me carrying my bag. That aren't you just off shift? Didn't Ethan pick you up? He did. Then why are you back? I draped my white coat over the back of my chair. Someone sitting in his passenger seat. Zoe froze for 2 seconds, just because of the passenger seat. I looked out the window at the black car still parked by the ER entrance. The 2 figures inside were sitting awfully close, just because of the passenger seat. She opened her mouth, then didn't say anything. Zoe knew how I was. I didn't share toothbrushes, didn't mix up water glasses, and didn't tolerate games in relationships. Ethan knew, too. We've been together 5 years. Half the wedding invitations had already been sent out, and he'd chosen, 7 days before the wedding, to let another woman sit in my spot. This wasn't about a chair. It was about him moving my boundaries right under someone else's feet, then turning around and asking if I could bend down to pick them up. I wouldn't. The automatic doors of the ER lobby slid open. Ethan walked in quickly, his coat slung over his arm, his collar messy. Sophie followed behind him, the scarf still around her neck. Sam, have you had enough of this tantrum? His voice was just loud enough for the nurses at the triage desk and the people in the waiting area to hear. Sophie tugged on his sleeve. Mr. Carter, don't. It's all my fault. I can sit in the back. I looked at her. You can sit in the back now. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. Ethan stepped in front of her. She has a stomachache. Do you have to be jealous and petty right now? Jealous of what? I turned my phone back on. The screen was flooded with his missed calls. Jealous of your passenger seat, your scarf, or that thermos you let her hold. Ethan followed my gaze, and his face stiffened. That thermos was the one I'd waited in line for last year. His name was engraved on the lid, mine on the bottom. Sophie hugged it tighter. I didn't know it was yours. Sam, Mr. Carter said it was cold in the car and told me to hold it to keep my hands warm. Ethan said, it's just a thermos. I laughed. Then remember this. It's just a wedding, just a fiancé, just 5 years. Someone in the waiting area gasped quietly. Ethan's face darkened. Sam, this wedding isn't just about you. The invitations are sent. The hotel's booked. Both sides of the family have been told. You can't just cancel it like this. Watch me. Don't threaten me with the wedding. I'm not threatening you. I took off my engagement ring and set it on the suggestion box, next to the triage desk. I'm telling you. He stared at the ring like I'd said something absurd. Sophie stepped forward, her voice shaking. Sam, please don't do this. I never meant to break you two up. I just had a stomach ache and Mr. Carter was being nice. Why do you have to be so extreme? I glanced at her. If you have a stomach ache, you should go to the gastroenterology department, not my fiancé's passenger seat. She was speechless. Ethan reached for my arm. We'll talk about this at home. I stepped back. That house isn't just yours either. He grabbed thin air and his temper finally snapped. Sam, you're almost 30. What kind of man do you think you'll find without me? Zoe set her ramen bowl down on the table and snorted. Mr. Carter, the ER doesn't treat people who are out of their minds tonight. Ethan didn't even look at her. His eyes were fixed on me. Apologize right now, and I'll pretend this never happened. I pulled the wedding planner contract out of my bag. 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to cancel the wedding and get the deposit back. I'll also be moving all my things out of the house. Sophie suddenly coughed twice and doubled over, clutching her stomach. Ethan turned to help her immediately. Stop upsetting her. I picked up the ring from the table and stuffed it into Ethan's suit pocket. If she collapses at the ER entrance, remember to check her in. He was too busy holding Sophia up to chase after me. When I walked out of the hospital, the rain had stopped. The ground reflected a row of white lights, like a freshly washed road. I called the moving company. The note on the order was clear. 10 boxes of valuable medical books, 2 boxes of custom surgical practice instruments, assorted personal furniture, 1 pet cat at 2 a.m. The foreman called back. Ma'am, moving this late. Yes. Fight with your boyfriend. No. I glanced back at the hospital entrance. Ethan was wrapping the scarf around Sophie's shoulders. It's a breakup. When I got to Ethan's premarital home, the passcode on the lock hadn't been changed. He bought the house before we got engaged, put down the down payment, and I paid for all the renovations and appliances. Back then, he said he was too busy with work to handle the little things like picking out materials or going to the market. I'd go to Home Depot to haggle after night shifts, spend my days off at the construction site checking the plumbing and electrical work. I'd even had the kitchen countertop cut to his exact height. Looking back now, no matter how perfect the countertop was, it never taught him how to wash a dish. I'd just taken out the cat carrier when the front door opened. Ethan walked in with Sophie. She was wearing a pair of slippers, pink ones, the ones I bought for myself. I stared at those slippers, and the last bit of irritation in my chest faded away. Ethan saw me standing in the living room and thought I'd changed my mind. His voice softened a little to go get some sleep. Don't go cancel the wedding tomorrow. Let's both calm down. Sophie gripped his cuff, speaking carefully. Sam, I really shouldn't have come, but Mr. Carter said you might do something stupid alone. So, I came to check on you. I pointed at her feet. Take them off. She looked down and immediately hid behind Ethan. Ethan frowned at your making a big deal out of a pair of slippers. I am. He held back his anger. I'll buy you 10 pairs tomorrow. Do I look like I need slippers? Tears rolled down Sophie's cheeks. Sam, I really didn't know they were yours. I wear Mr. Carter's spare slippers at the office all the time. I thought you guys didn't make a big deal out of stuff like that at home. I walked over, pulled a pair of disposable shoe covers out of the shoe cabinet, and threw them at her feet. I don't care how you do things at his office. This is my house. Ethan's face turned ugly. Sam, my name's on the property deed, and my name's on every renovation invoice and receipt. I opened the hallway cabinet and set a stack of papers on the coffee table, flooring, cabinets, central air conditioning, all the light fixtures, mattress, curtains, dishwasher, fridge, washing machine. Total, $428.600. Ethan froze. He'd probably never realized you could put a price on every single light in this house. I continued. Tomorrow, I'll have the workers take out everything that can be removed. What can't be removed, I'll sell to you at a discount. I want the money in 3 days. Sophie's eyes widened. Sam, this is so hurtful. The feelings are gone. Now, it's time to settle the bills. Ethan slammed his hand down on the papers. Don't push your luck. You volunteered to do the renovations. No one asks for money back after a breakup. Then I'll take it all down. I pulled out my phone and TEX did the demolition crew. 6 a.m. tomorrow. Start with the central air. Ethan's face paled. Are you crazy? Tearing the house apart right before the wedding. The wedding's canceled. Sophie suddenly grabbed my arm. Sam, please don't. Mr. Carter's been so stressed about the wedding and the company project. He was just being nice to me. If you break up with him over this, I'll feel guilty forever. I looked at her hand on my arm. Her nails were perfectly manicured, pale pink with tiny glitter at the tips. Let go. She didn't. Instead, she pulled back hard. A glass on the coffee table was knocked over by her arm and shattered on the floor. She immediately clutched her wrist. Oh, Ethan rushed over. Sophie. There was a faint red mark on her wrist. The skin wasn't even broken. Ethan looked up at me, furious. Did you push her? I didn't say anything. I bent down and picked up the remote control from the TV stand. Ethan got angrier. Sam, I'm talking to you. I pressed play. The pet camera in the corner of the living room blinked blue. On the screen, Sophie grabbed my hand, pulled back on her own, and knocked over glass. Every move was crystal clear. Sophie's face went white. Ethan froze. I looked at him, still asking. He was silent for a moment, then said quietly, she didn't mean it. Zoe always said that when someone's biased, evidence isn't for them. It's for you. I understood now. Even with the proof right in front of him, he'd still find an excuse for her. I turned off the TV. Enjoy the house. Ethan blocked the door. Where are you going tonight? A hotel. With the cat. With the cat. He sounded like he'd been holding it in forever when he finally said what he really thought. Sam, can you stop being so extreme? I was just taking care of an employee and you're moving out. Canceling the wedding. Tearing up the house. You weren't like this before. I slung the cat carrier over my shoulder. I was always like this. You just never crossed the line. Sophie stood behind him whispering Mr. Carter, maybe I should go. I don't want you two to fight because of me. Ethan didn't move. Sam, apologize. I almost laughed out loud. Towho. Sophie. She's the one who's been wronged. The cat meowed inside the carrier. I patted the bag and walked around Ethan. Tell her to sue me. As the door closed, I heard Sophie crying. Ethan was comforting her in that low, soft voice. I knew that voice too well. It was the same voice he'd used when I had a 103 degrees fever and was up at home rewriting his performance review. Just a little longer. Sam, he'd said. Turns out he wasn't incapable of being gentle. He just saved it for someone else. I took the elevator down and a text from an unknown number popped up on my phone. Dr. Bennett, this is Mrs. Carter. Are you sure you want to cancel the wedding tomorrow? I'd like to talk to you in person. Eleanor Carter was Ethan's mother. She was the kind of woman who wore a silk scarf even to buy groceries at the corner store. This text didn't sound like her. I replied, 10:00 a.m. tomorrow at Ever After Weddings at 6:00 a.m. The next day, the demolition crew showed up at the house right on time. I didn't go. I'd sent the list to the property management, the crew, and Ethan. They were only to take what belonged to me and what could be removed. Ethan called when I was sitting downstairs at the wedding planner's office eating oatmeal and hash browns. Sam, you actually had them take out the air conditioner. Yes. Do you know my parents are coming to see the house today? You can have Sophie make them oatmeal. There was a pause on the other end. Did you mean what you said last night? About what? Breaking up. I took a sip of my coffee. I meant it. His voice turned cold. Then you're covering half the wedding losses. I signed the wedding planner contract. I'll handle whatever refund we get. You booked the hotel. You negotiate that. Sam, isn't it ugly to split everything this cleanly? Less ugly than letting your assistant wear my slippers. He hung up angrily. At 9:00 a.m., the wedding planner spread the contract out on the table. Ms. Bennett, we can cancel, but it's too close to the date. We can only refund 30 of the deposit. I nodded. Per the contract. She looked surprised. You don't want to think about it more. Mr. Carter was here yesterday confirming the flowers. He said the bride loves white camellias and insisted we use only the best ones. My hand froze on the contract. She didn't notice my expression and kept going. He also said we should add a box of stomach medicine to every wedding favor. Said an important guest might get nervous and have a stomach ache on the day. I looked at her. Stomach medicine. Yes. Ms. Turner was with him yesterday. She said she might get stomach pains from stress at the wedding. So, Mr. Carter told us to put some at every table. She realized what she'd said and shut up. I signed the cancellation form. When I walked out of the office, Mrs. Carter was standing at the end of the hallway. She was wearing a dark green dress, holding an old cloth bag. When she saw me, she said, "First, Ning Sam, I'm not here to beg you to get back together." I stopped. She handed me the bag. Inside was a copy of the property deed, a bank card, and a stack of handwritten lists. I know Ethan didn't pay a cent for the renovations. I didn't take it. Mrs. Carter set the things on the bench next to us. His father says you're making a mountain out of a molehill. But I watched the living room security footage last night. That Sophie girl has bad intentions, and Ethan's not innocent for protecting her. I was surprised. She looked at me, her eyes tired. Why son's been praised his whole life. When someone gives him 3 parts of their heart, he thinks it's owed to him. When you gave him 10, he thought you'd never leave. She pulled 1 page out of the list. This is all the jewelry and cash gifts I've given you over the years. I know you don't want anything from the Carter family. I brought them today to be clear. You can return them if you want, or keep them. It doesn't matter to me. I pushed the list back to Mrs. Carter. Those were gifts from you. I'll pack them up and return them to you. She smiled bitterly that you're always so proper. The elevator doors opened. Ethan and Sophie walked out together. Sophie was wearing a white dress today, holding a file folder. When she saw Mrs. Carter, she immediately let go of Ethan's cuff. "Hello, Mrs. Carter." Mrs. Carter didn't respond. Ethan saw the things on the bench, and his face darkened. "Mom, what are you doing here? TOC how you've ruined this wedding." Ethan frowned. "You don't understand the situation," Mrs. Carter said. I watched the security footage. Sophie's face turned pale. Little by little, Ethan lowered his voice. "Mom, the camera only shows one angle. Sophie's not that kind of person." Mrs. Carter looked at him. "Then what kind of person is she?" Sophie's eyes filled with tears instantly. "Mrs. Carter, I know you don't like me, but Mr. Carter and I are just colleagues. I came today to help him get the wedding deposit back." She handed the file folder to Ethan. "I organized all the contracts last night. Sam used Mr. Carter's secondary card to sign everything. Strictly speaking, he should be the one to get the refund." Ethan looked at me immediately. "You used my card." I looked at Sophie. She was staring at the floor, her fingers squeezing the edge of the file folder like she was the victim of some great injustice. I said, "That secondary card was your wedding expense card. You confirmed every single charge after I made it." Ethan said, "But it's still my card." Mrs. Carter's face turned cold. "Ethan." He ignored her. "Sam, since you want to break up, we need to settle this money properly." I pulled out my phone and opened my bank statements for the past 2 years. My salary account has been paying off that secondary card. Ethan froze. Sophie's head shot up. I pushed the phone in front of him. "You gave me the card and said wedding expenses should go on it to make bookkeeping easier. You forgot to tell Sophie, who's been paying the bill every month." Mrs. Carter took the phone, read through the statements, and slapped Ethan across the face. The hallway went dead silent. Ethan covered his cheek, staring at her in disbelief. Sophie stepped back half a step. I took my phone back. "The wedding refund will go back to the original card. I'm canceling it today. You can handle the rest." Ethan finally panicked. "Sam, that's not what I meant." I looked at him. "Ethan, every time you say something stupid, you say it's not what you meant. Then what do you want me to say?" "Nothing." I walked past him toward the elevator. Sophie suddenly spoke up. "Sam, did you plan this breakup all along? Why else would you have the bank statements ready?" I pressed the elevator button. "Because I'm a doctor. Before surgery, you count every instrument one by one. Before a relationship ends, you count every bill the same way." As the elevator doors closed, I saw Ethan standing there, frozen. For the first time, He didn't chase after me. Or maybe he just didn't know who to chase. I thought the hardest part of breaking off the engagement would be the money. I soon found out it was the people. At 11 o'clock a.m., Ethan's cousin Lily sent a message to the family group chat. Hey, everyone, the wedding's canceled last minute. Can't say why, but let's just say someone's being high maintenance and wasted my cousin's 5 years of love. The group chat exploded instantly. Aunt Margaret sent a voice note. Girls these days have such tempers. So what if the guy gave a coworker a ride? That's reason enough to cancel a wedding. Ethan's colleagues chimed in. Mr. Carter's such a great guy. Dr. Bennett must be seeing someone else. Right. Sophie didn't say anything. 3 minutes later, she posted a photo. In it, she was sitting in the passenger seat, looking pale, holding a doctor's note. The caption was just one sentence. I'm sorry. It's my fault for being sick. The doctor's note was framed perfectly. Only the gastritis diagnosis was visible. No name or date. The tide in the group chat turned immediately. People called me heartless, said I was throwing a tantrum over nothing, told Ethan he was better off without me. Zoe sent me a screenshot. Are you going to explain? I replied that no. Zoe sent a string of question marks. I didn't explain, but that didn't mean I was doing nothing. I compiled all the evidence. The passenger seat photo, the slippers, the living room security footage, the credit card statements, and sent them to my lawyer friend Jade Hale. Jade called back right away. This is a breakup, not a divorce. There's not much the law can do about the money. The renovation costs are negotiable, and we can sue for defamation. Send cease and desist letters first. To who? Everyone spreading lies in the group chat. Jade laughed. You work fast. I looked at my hospital schedule. I have 3 surgeries this afternoon. I don't have time to argue. Jade said, got it. I'll do the arguing at 1 o'clock p.m. I went into the operating room. When I came out, my phone was blowing up. Ethan had sent over 20 messages. The first ones were still demanding to know why I'd sent lawyers after his relatives. The last ones were begging me to answer my phone. Sophie had also sent me a long paragraph. Sam, that I didn't mean for this to get so big. Everyone was just worried about Mr. Carter. Why are you scaring them with lawyers? I can apologize to you, but please don't ruin Ethan's reputation. I only replied with 3 words. Talk to my lawyer. She didn't text again. I changed out of my scrubs, and Dr. Thomas Thompson, my department head, called me into his office. Sam, take care of your personal business. There's a free community health clinic tomorrow, and you were scheduled to do emergency medical support at the venue. I nodded. I can make it. Dr. Thompson looked at me. Ethan's company is one of the co-sponsors. I understood what he meant. Work is work. He handed me a file. Good. One more thing. The city's wound care project is U. P for review next week. Prepare your presentation materials. I took the file. Will do. That project was the result of 3 years of work by my team. Everyone just knew I worked at the hospital. No one knew I spent every weekend in the lab. Ethan didn't know either. He only knew I was busy. He always said, doctors don't make that much money. So, why work so hard? I never bothered explaining. Explaining something he never cared about was like feeding food to someone who refused to open their mouth. That night, I went back to the hotel to get my cat. The front desk handed me a paper bag. Ms. Bennett, a Ms. Turner left this for you. Inside was the cashmere scarf, washed, the one Ethan had draped over Sophie's shoulders the night before. There was a note in the bag. Sam, I'm returning the scarf. I didn't mean anything by it. Mr. Carter just said you have plenty of these anyway. I threw the scarf in the trash. The girl at the front desk asked, oh, you want me to take that out for you? No. I stared at the crumpled cashmere. Dirty things are dirty no matter where you put them. My phone rang again. It was Ethan. I answered. He sounded exhausted. Did Sophie come see you? She dropped off the scarf. She just wanted to apologize. Her apology is pretty cheap. Ethan was silent. Sam, can we meet? Just the 2 of us. No one else. No. Do you have to be this cruel? I stroked my cat's head. I'm just closing the door all at once. He said quietly, 5 years. You don't miss any of it. That question made me pause. Did I miss it? Of course I did. I missed the Ethan who'd shared convenience store hot dogs with me under an awning in the rain. The Ethan who'd bought me a lucky bracelet before my first solo surgery. The Ethan who'd said we'd raise our cat together until she was 16. Not the Ethan who'd brought his assistant into our home, let her wear my slippers, and then asked me why I was being so unreasonable. I said that I miss the old days, not you. His breathing hitched. I'll have Sophie transferred that it's too late. What do you want me to do? I looked at my reflection in the window. Never contact me again. I hung up and blocked all his numbers. A minute later, a new message popped up in the family group chat. Sophie had sent a voice note. She was crying that I already put in my resignation. Please stop yelling at Sam. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have had a stomach ache. I shouldn't have let Mr. Carter drive me. Blame me, not him. The group chat got even busier. People called her sweet and kind. Said Ethan was lucky to have such a good girl. I left the group chat. Zoe called me. So angry her voice was shrill. That's not an apology. That's pinning the blame squarely on you. I said, let her. Aren't you mad that I am? Then why are you so calm? I opened my laptop and created a new folder. I named it Evidence because, when I make her cry, there's going to be an audience. The free community health clinic was held at the downtown convention center. Ethan's company logo was hanging on the right side of the entrance. He was in charge of greeting the leaders and the media. When I arrived, Sophie was straightening his tie at the check-in desk. She wasn't wearing a white dress today. She had on a light gray suit, like she was actually there to work. Ethan saw me and immediately pulled his hand away. I didn't look at him. I went straight to the medical support area to check the first aid kit. Sophie followed me over. Sam, I'm sorry about yesterday. I already put in my resignation. I'll hand over my work once the event is over. I put a tourniquet in the box. Do I need to sign your resignation? Her eyes filled with tears again at my words. I just wanted you to know I won't come between you two anymore. You already did. She bit her lip. Are you really going to throw away all the good things Ethan did for you just because of a seat? He stayed up all night last night looking at old photos of you two. I closed the first aid kit. Did you stay up with him looking at them? Her face changed. I picked up the kit and walked into the main hall by the podium. Ethan was talking to the organizers. He saw me and took a step forward, but someone called him back. Once the clinic started, the crowd grew quickly. I was in charge of treating minor injuries and giving basic consultations. A little boy ran too fast and hit his forehead on the corner of a display board. Blood was streaming down his eyebrow. His mother was panicking, so bad she didn't know what to do with her hands. I knelt down to clean the wound. Don't press on his eye. Press right here. Sweetheart, look at the gauze in my hand. The boy was crying so hard, he was hiccuping. Sophie stood nearby holding a tissue, too scared to come close. Ethan came over to manage the crowd. Where's the doctor? Someone get a doctor. A staff member pointed at me. That's Dr. Bennett. Ethan froze. He'd always known I was a surgeon, but he'd never actually watched me take care of a patient. When I finished the last stitch, the boy's mother thanked me profusely. Dr. Bennett, you have such steady hands. I took off my gloves. Keep it dry and come back to change the dressing regularly. Suddenly, Sophie's voice came from behind me. Mr. Carter, you look pale. Are you low on blood sugar? She held out a candy. Ethan didn't take it. His eyes were on my hands. You worked a full night shift yesterday, and you're still here at the clinic today. I packed up my instruments. It's my schedule. You could have told me. Would you have taken my place in the OR? He had nothing to say. Sophie quickly jumped in. Sam, Mr. Carter's just worried about you. I looked at her. Is your stomach still hurting? She was surprised I asked and hesitated for a second. Much better. Thank you. Then stay away from the emergency area. Her face turned bright red with embarrassment. A few feet away, a photographer was taking pictures. Sophie saw the camera and suddenly stepped back. She tripped over a wire on the floor and fell toward the first aid kit. The kit had a used sharps container inside. It was closed, but if it tipped over, it would be a disaster. I reached out and blocked the kit. Her shoulder hit my arm and she fell to the ground. Sam, why did you push me? The camera was pointed right at us. Ethan rushed over. What happened? Sophie clutched her ankle, tears rolling down her face. It's nothing. I just tripped. She said it was nothing, but the way she looked at me made it seem like I'd attacked her. The people around us started whispering. Ethan's face was dark. Sam, this is a public event. I ignored him and turned to the photographer. Did you get that on camera? The photographer looked confused. Yeah, I said. Can you play it back? Sophie immediately grabbed Ethan's hand. No, it's fine. Really? This time, Ethan didn't listen to her. He looked at the photographer. On the screen, Sophie saw the camera, stepped back, tripped over the wire, and lost her balance. I reached out to protect the first aid kit, and she bumped into my arm. No push. Ethan's face slowly darkened. Sophie cried harder. I didn't mean it. My ankle just hurts. I knelt down and pressed on her ankle. She screamed. I let go. No broken bones. If it really hurts, go get an X-ray. Don't block the emergency aisle. A man in a suit laughed quietly. Dr. Bennett doesn't waste words. Does she? I looked up. It was Liam Grant, the new director of the city rehabilitation center, and one of the external experts on the review panel for my wound care project. Ethan obviously knew him and immediately held out his hand. Dr. Grant, it's an honor. Liam shook his hand briefly and let go. Nice event setup. Mr. Carter, you're missing 2 wire covers over there. Ethan's face turned slightly red, and he called a staff member over. Liam looked at me. Dr. Bennett, don't forget the pre-communication meeting for the project this afternoon. I nodded. I won't. Ethan frowned. What project? Liam looked surprised. Dr. Bennett didn't tell you. Her team's wound care project made it to the final city review. We're going over her materials after this event. Ethan stared at me like he was hearing my name for the first time. Sophie was still sitting on the ground, her face pale. She said quietly, Sam, you're so talented. Why didn't you ever tell Mr. Carter? I picked up the first aid kit. He never asked. Ethan's lips moved, but he didn't say anything. Liam looked at the 3 of us and didn't ask any more questions. Before the event ended, Ethan finally found a chance to corner me. Why didn't you tell me about this project? I did when the night you had Sophie rewrite your presentation. He remembered. That night, I told him I had to finish my project materials and might not have time to help him. He'd said, how important can hospital stuff be? Just help me go over my speech first. I'd stayed up until 3:00 a.m. rewriting his presentation while he slept on the couch. I'd turned to my own materials at 7:00 a.m. the next day. Ethan's voice was low, that I didn't know it was this important. Then you don't need to know now. I walked past him. From behind me, Sophie called out, Mr. Carter, my ankle really is swelling up. Ethan stood there for a moment, but he didn't go to her right away. I didn't look back. That was the first crack. Tiny, but enough to make Sophie panic the day after the clinic. Screenshots from Ethan's company internal Slack channel were sent to me. Sophie hadn't resigned. Not only had she not left, she'd been temporarily transferred to the client team that was handling the wedding project. Zoe slammed her hand on the table. This guy says he'll transfer her, and then gives her a better job. Are you kidding me? I flipped through a patient chart. Not surprised. Aren't you scared they'll actually get together? I looked up. Whether they get together or not has nothing to do with me. Zoe stared at me for a long time. Sam, you're terrifying. Breaking up with someone like cutting out dead tissue, one clean cut. No looking back, I said. Dead tissue causes infection if you leave it in. She pushed a coffee toward me. All right, Dr. Bennett, have something sweet. That afternoon, the demolition crew sent me photos from the house. The air conditioner, dishwasher, mattress, and bookshelves were all gone. There were screw holes in the walls and scuff marks on the floor. Ethan also sent me photos. Did you have to destroy the house like this? I replied that it's your house, not my home. He didn't text back. At 7 p.m., Mrs. Carter asked me to dinner. I almost said no, but she sent a follow-up message. Sophie will be there. 2. I want her to say what she really thinks to your face. I went. In the private dining room. Besides Mrs. Carter, there was Robert Carter, Ethan's father, Ethan, and Sophie. Robert scowled as soon as he saw me. Sam, you've had your little tantrum long enough. The wedding can be postponed, but it can't be canceled. The Carter family can't afford this embarrassment. I sat down, then find someone else to marry your son. Robert slammed his hand on the table. What kind of attitude is that? Mrs. Carter said coldly that we're here to talk, not to yell. Sophie quickly poured tea. Uncle Robert, Aunt Eleanor, it's all my fault. Please don't fight because of me. Robert actually looked fondly at her. This girl's so sweet. Not like some people who throw tantrums and threaten to break up over nothing. Ethan frowned. Dad. Robert ignored him and pointed at me. I know you doctors work hard, but a woman's place is at home. Ethan's put up with your night shifts for 5 years. That's more than enough. I asked, put up with what exactly? Robert was caught off guard that you're never home. You made the Carter family look bad with the renovations, and now you're canceling the wedding. What man would put up with that? Sophie said quietly, Uncle Robert, Sam works hard. She's probably just stressed. That was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Robert immediately said, stressed gives her the right to treat her man like garbage. Ethan, don't let her walk all over you. She's almost 30. She's the one who'll be desperate if this wedding falls through. Mrs. Carter slammed her teacup down on the table. Shut up. Robert was furious that you're defending her. She's the one breaking off the engagement. I turned on my voice recorder. Ethan saw what I was doing and his face changed. Sam, what are you recording for? To prevent anyone from accusing me of extortion later. Robert laughed coldly that you're so calculating. Fine, let's settle this. I'm not paying you a cent for the renovations. Tear it all out if you want. You'll have to pay for any damage you do to the house. I pushed my list of SES across the table. Fine. The cost of restoring the house will be deducted from the renovation refund. I end your dreams. Then we'll go to court. Robert looked like I'd told a joke. They are going to sue us over a few $100,000. You'll be the one embarrassed, not us. I looked at him. Then you should be the one panicking, not me. Sophie suddenly spoke up. Sam, I know you're upset, but Ethan really loves you. He was looking at your photos in the office yesterday. If you keep pushing him away, you'll just drive him into someone else's arms. I asked, into yours. She blushed. You can misunderstand me all you want, but don't say that about Ethan. Robert nodded. Look at her. She actually cares about Ethan. Mrs. Porter's face was white with anger. Ethan finally spoke up. Sophie, that's enough. Sophie looked like she'd been slapped. Tears immediately filled her eyes. I'm sorry. I just hate seeing you hurt. Ethan's expression softened again. I'd had enough of this show. I stood up. There's no point in talking today, Robert said coldly. If you walk out that door, you'll never be welcome in the Carter family again. I turned around. I never wanted to be. As I pushed open the door, a waiter was coming in with a tray of food. A pot of hot soup almost spilled on Sophie. She screamed, and Ethan immediately stepped in front of her. The soup splashed on the back of his hand. Sophie cried and grabbed his hand. Mr. Carter, you got hurt protecting me. Robert looked at me with even more disgust. See, that's what a woman who cares looks like. I stared at the faint red mark on Ethan's hand. Once, I'd cut my hand on a surgical instrument during a shift. He'd told me to put a Band-Aid on it and keep helping him rewrite his presentation. Now, he'd gotten a little soup on his hand, and everyone was acting like the world was ending. I walked out of the restaurant. As the door closed, I heard Ethan call my name. This time, I didn't stop. Things really blew up because of a leaked video. In the video, the private dining room door was half open. Sophie was crying and blowing on Ethan's hand, and Robert was yelling about how unreasonable I was. The headline was clickbait gold. Fiancé calls off wedding over coworker sitting in passenger seat. Groom's father slams female doctor for being too controlling. The video quickly spread to the local Reddit community. My hospital, department, and full name were doxed. Comments said I was abusing my position as a doctor to bully a sick woman, that I was being ridiculous at 30 years old, and that Ethan was lucky to get rid of me. Dr. Thompson called me into his office. The hospital will handle the PR. Don't say anything for now. I nodded. I understand. He looked at me. That video isn't the whole story, is it? No. Do you have the full recording? I do. He sighed in relief. Good. The project review is coming up. Don't let this distract you. When I walked out of his office, Zoe was waiting for me in the hallway. Sophie posted on Instagram. She handed me her phone. Sophie had posted a photo of Ethan's hand with a bandage on it. The caption, what some people don't cherish, others will hold dear. All of Ethan's colleagues had commented comforting her. I handed the phone back to Zoe. Screenshot it for evidence. Clear's throat. Aren't you going to post the full recording? Wait for what? I looked out the window. Wait until they've said everything they want to say. That night, Ethan couldn't get through to my phone. So, he called me from Mrs. Carter's number. I answered. His voice was hoarse. I didn't post the video. I know. Sophie says she didn't either. Then believe her. He was silent. I heard the click of a lighter. He'd never smoked before. He must have started recently. Sam, I'll have people take down the online posts. No need. You're a doctor. This kind of bad press will hurt your career. You're just now thinking about that. His breathing was shaky. My dad said some terrible things. I apologize on his behalf. Don't. Then what do you want? I said, I want to know who filmed the video and who posted it. I'll find out. Send it to my lawyer when you do. His voice was even lower. You won't even say one more word to me. No. He was quiet for a long time. Sophie cried all afternoon. I laughed. Are you telling me that to make me feel bad for her? No. Ethan, every time you open your mouth, you're defending her. He couldn't argue. I hung up. The next morning, Sophie posted another video. She was sitting in a car, her eyes swollen. Please stop yelling at Dr. Bennett. She probably just loves Mr. Carter so much she couldn't handle me sitting in the passenger seat. I've decided to leave the city. I hope this can all end now. The comments were full of sympathy. People said she was the one with class, that I'd driven her out of town. Half an hour later, Ethan's company posted an official statement. It said the leaked video was a private matter and the company wouldn't comment, but that Sophie Turner was a hard-working employee who had submitted her resignation for personal reasons. Jade called me. Time to take them down. I said, wait 2 more hours. Why? She said she's leaving the city. I want to see if she shows up at Ethan's office this afternoon at 3:00 p.m. Liam sent me a photo. Sophie was sitting in a conference room at Ethan's company wearing her employee badge. The text below the photo said, she's taking minutes for a project co-sponsorship meeting. I replied, thank you. 5 minutes later, Jade published the legal statement, the full restaurant recording, the living room security footage, the clinic video replay, the credit card statements, and the photo of Sophie in the conference room all released together. The statement had no drama, just a timeline and evidence. The internet went silent. 10 minutes later, the tide turned completely. People picked apart every word of Sophie's voice notes. Someone zoomed in on her gastritis doctor's note and found it was 6 months old. People asked Ethan why he never mentioned that his fiancée was the one paying for the wedding. Ethan's cousin deleted all her messages from the group chat. Sophie turned off comments on her Instagram. Ethan sent me an email. The subject line was just 4 words. I was wrong. I didn't open it. That night, there were a few reporters waiting outside the hospital. Dr. Thompson had security walk me out. I just got into the parking lot when Ethan stood up from beside his car. He'd lost a lot of weight in the past few days. Sam, the security guard, immediately stepped in front of me. I said that it's okay. Ethan looked at me, his eyes full of so many things that I found out who posted the video. It was Sophie's cousin. She works part-time at that restaurant. I nodded. Send it to my lawyer. Sophie says she didn't know. I looked at him. He quickly added that I don't believe her anymore. I didn't say anything. He looked like he finally realized how late that was. His face was gray, that I'm firing her. I'll post a public clarification. I'll transfer the renovation money to you tomorrow. Talk to my lawyer about it. He took a step forward. Sam, is there really no chance for us? I looked at him. Do you know why I wouldn't sit in the back seat that night? His throat moved. Because I let her sit in your spot. More than that, I said, because you assumed I would. The light in his eyes went out. At the entrance to the parking lot, Sophie had appeared out of nowhere. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her face deathly pale. Mr. Carter, you said you'd drive me to the station. Ethan turned around, frowning deeply. How did you find me here? She looked at him, then at me. Sam, you've already won. You ruined my job, my reputation, and now you're going to take Ethan, too. I thought it was absurd. He was never mine to take. Sophie laughed bitterly. Of course you don't care. You have your project, your hospital, all these people helping you. What do I have? I just wanted to make a life for myself in this city. What's wrong with that? Ethan said sharply. Sophie, that's enough. She cried out. Now you think it's my fault. You're the one who told me to sit in the passenger seat. You're the one who gave me your scarf. You're the one who said she was stubborn and would calm down after a few days. Why is it all my fault now? Ethan's face turned ugly. I listened to her words, and I finally understood what the real betrayal was. It wasn't that Sophie was manipulative. It was that Ethan had known exactly how much it would hurt me, and he thought I'd just get over it and come back. Sophie pulled a piece of paper out of her bag. You told me to organize the wedding contracts. You said if Sam canceled, we could use the money to force her to back down. Now you're pretending to be the good guy. Ethan yelled, Shut up. Everyone in the parking lot was staring. I stood there, and suddenly I didn't feel anything at all. When you cut open a rotten spot, you don't find blood. You find dead tissue that's been there for a long time. Ethan looked at me. Sam, I was just angry. I didn't mean it. I said don't explain. Sophie was still crying that Mr. Carter, I did everything for you. You can't leave me now. Ethan pulled his hand away from her. I didn't tell you to spread lies. I didn't tell you to film the video. I didn't tell you to post all that stuff online. Sophie screamed, but you enjoyed it. When everyone was yelling at her, you didn't say a word. You let me take the heat for you. Don't pretend you didn't like it. Ethan couldn't say a word. The security guard whispered to me, Dr. Bennett, should we call the police? I nodded, yes. When the police arrived, Sophie was sitting on the ground crying. Ethan was standing off to the side, the bandage on his hand peeling at the edges. He looked at me across the crowd, like he'd finally realized I was never going to walk toward him again. The next day, Ethan's company posted a clarification statement very quickly. It admitted that employee Sophie Turner had repeatedly posted false information that had damaged my reputation. The company would cooperate with the investigation and terminate her employment immediately. Ethan also posted a long statement on his personal account. He admitted the breakup was his fault, that he'd had poor boundaries, and that I had been the one actually paying for the wedding. Not many people bought it. People asked why he hadn't said anything when I was being attacked the worst. People asked why his first reaction at the clinic had been to me. He didn't reply. I didn't read the whole thing. That morning, I was in the project review meeting room. Liam was sitting on the review panel, flipping through my materials. The city experts asked detailed questions, from sample sources to clinical translation. Every question was sharp. I answered for 2 hours. Finally, the oldest expert took off his glasses. Dr. Bennett, if this project is implemented, it will make a huge difference in wound care at community hospitals. Dr. Thompson was sitting next to me, his face serious, but he tapped his finger on the table twice. I knew that was his way of saying he was impressed. After the meeting, Liam handed me a bottle of water. "You did great." I took it. "Thank you." "Is the online stuff taken care of?" "It's still going through the legal process." He nodded. "If you need a witness for the clinic incident, I'm happy to testify." "I appreciate that." He smiled. "It's no trouble. You were protecting the sharps container. If it had tipped over, it would have been a mess." I looked at him. "You noticed that? I'm a doctor, too." It was such a simple sentence. But I suddenly thought of Ethan asking me why I'd never told him about the project. Some people don't need you to explain things to them. They just see. That afternoon, Jade told me Sophie had agreed to a public apology and compensation. She'd recorded the apology video 3 times. The first time, she cried too much. The second time, she blamed everything on Ethan. The third time was barely acceptable. I didn't watch it. Jade asked, "What do you want to do with the compensation money?" "Donate it to the hospital's patient assistance fund." "You don't want to keep any?" "No." "All right. I'll put it in the agreement." That night, Mrs. Carter called me. Her voice was low. "Sam, I had Ethan transfer the renovation money to you. There's also an extra amount from me and his father. It's compensation." "I don't need compensation. It's not to buy your forgiveness." She paused. "It's an apology from me. All these years, I knew he was spoiled, but I thought you'd be able to change him after you got married. It was wrong of me to dump a grown man on another woman to fix." I held the phone, not saying anything for a moment. Mrs. Carter continued to "Don't look back. Keep moving forward." I said quietly, "Thank you, Mrs. Carter." She laughed a little, her voice thick with tears. "You can still call me Eleanor if you want." After I hung up, I got a bank notification. 428.600 exactly. Not a penny more, not a penny less. I transferred the money to my new apartment account and bought my cat a bigger cat tree. Zoe said I had no romance in my soul. Other people buy designer bags after a breakup. You buy a cat tree. I said, why cat will keep me company better than a bag?" She raised her glass. T.O. successful dead tissue removal. I clinked my glass against hers. My phone lit up. Ethan had sent another email. This time the subject line was, "Can I see you one more time?" I deleted it. I hadn't blocked his email because my lawyer still needed to receive documents, not because I was leaving the door open. After Sophie's apology video was posted, things died down quickly. She admitted she'd used an expired doctor's note to mislead the family group chat. She admitted she hadn't been pushed at the clinic. She admitted she'd known her cousin had posted the video and hadn't stopped it, and that she'd lied about leaving the city to get sympathy in the video. She didn't call me Sam anymore. She called me Dr. Bennett. Some people still called her names in the comments. Others said she was just desperate to get ahead. I never watched the video a second time. My project passed the final review. Dr. Thompson actually took the whole team out to dinner to celebrate. At the table, a young resident asked me, "Dr. Bennett, how did you stay so focused on your presentation when everyone was saying those terrible things about you online?" Zoe answered for me that she's not human. She's a scalpel that came to life. Everyone laughed. I picked up a piece of fish because being yelled at doesn't write your presentation for you. Dr. Thompson nodded. "That's right. No matter how loud the outside noise is, when you have a scalpel in your hand, the only thing that matters is that your hands are steady." Halfway through dinner, there was a knock on the private dining room door. The waiter poked his head in. "Dr. Bennett, there's a Mr. Carter here to see you." Zoe immediately put down her chopsticks. "I'll go tell him to leave." I said, "I'll go." In the hallway, Ethan was wearing a dark coat, holding a file folder. He smiled when he saw me. It was a weak, forced smile. "Congratulations on the project passing." "Thank you." He handed me the file folder. "These are the last of your things from the house. A few of your books and your cat's vaccination record." I took it. "Thanks that it's nothing." He looked at me like he had a million things to say. I waited 3 seconds. I asked there anything else. Ethan's throat moved. Sophie and I aren't together. I said, you don't have to tell me that. I know. I just wanted you to know I didn't make the same mistake again. That's your business. He smiled bitterly. You really won't give me an inch, will you? I looked at him. Ethan, breaking up with you wasn't a punishment. It was me choosing not to put myself back in that position. His eyes turned red. The position's still there. No, it's not. I said, it stopped being mine the second you let someone else sit there. He looked down. After a long time, he pulled the engagement ring out of his pocket. I want to give this back to you. No need. You picked it out. You bought it. His fingers tightened around the ring. Can I keep it? Whatever you want. I turned to leave, but he called my name. Sam. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. He said, that night at the hospital, if I'd gotten out of the car and made Sophie sit in the back, would you have forgiven me? The question was like a needle, pricking at a scar that had already healed. I turned around. Yes. A flicker of hope lit up his eyes. I continued, but you didn't. The light went out again. What if I hadn't brought her to the house? We probably would have had a big fight. What if I defended you in the group chat? We might not be here right now. His voice was shaking. There were so many chances. Yes. I looked at him. And you wasted every single one. Someone called me back inside to have soup. I turned around. This time, he didn't call my name again. When I got back to the table, Zoe leaned over. Was he crying? Ooh, him. Didn't look. She poured me a bowl of soup. You're something else. You know that. I took a sip. The soup was hot. I see enough wounds at work. I don't need to his. 2. After the project launched, I was sent to train at community hospitals. My first stop was Rivertown, an hour away by train. I dragged my suitcase out of the station, and Liam was standing at the exit. Dr. Thompson asked me to pick you up. I looked at the welcome sign in his hand. It said, Dr. Bennett. The handwriting was neat, and there was a lopsided cat drawn in the corner. I couldn't help laughing. Did you draw the cat? Why? Nephew Aiden did. He said, you have to be polite when you pick up a doctor. In the car. He didn't ask about my personal life. He just told me about the situation at the local hospitals. Rivertown and the surrounding counties had a lot of patients with chronic wounds, and the dressing change conditions were poor. If our protocol could be implemented, it would prevent a lot of amputations. I listened carefully. When we got to the hospital, the director showed us around. The dressing room was small. The cabinets were old, but the nurses had all the instruments arranged perfectly. An elderly man was sitting in a chair, a wound on his leg that had been there for 6 months. The local doctor looked embarrassed that we don't have the resources here. We haven't been able to treat it properly. I knelt down to look at the wound, that we can fix this. When I said those 3 words, the man's daughter burst into tears. Doctor, we've been everywhere. Everyone said we'd have to amputate. I looked up at her. Don't cry yet. The dressing changes will hurt. You'll have to help him stick with it. The old man grinned that I don't mind the pain, as long as I keep my leg. I stood for 10 hours that day. When I got back to the hotel that night, my feet felt like they were on fire. Liam sent me a text. There's oatmeal in the lobby. Don't forget to eat. When I went downstairs, he was sitting in the corner reading papers. There were 2 bowls of oatmeal and a plate of green vegetables on the table. I didn't know if you ate spicy food. I don't. Perfect. We ate in silence for 10 minutes. He suddenly said that you're a very good doctor. I laughed. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. Why? You don't waste time on unnecessary pain. If something hurts, you treat it. If something's broken, you fix it. If it can't be fixed, you cut it out. I stared at my bowl of oatmeal. That sounds pretty cold. No, he said, IT means you take responsibility for yourself. I slept well that night. The next day, after the training, a local TV station came to interview me. The reporter asked what had inspired me to create this project. I said that a lot of wounds aren't serious at first. They just get worse because people wait too long to treat them. If you take care of them early, you save yourself a lot of suffering. I paused for a second after I said it. The reporter thought I was talking about physical wounds. Only I knew I was talking about people. 2. The interview aired that day, and Ethan sent me another email. I saw you on TV. You said something similar once before. I didn't understand it then. I didn't reply. On the train ride back, the fields outside were dark. Liam was sitting next to me, and he handed me a bag of warm chestnuts. Bought them at the station. I took them. Thank you. You barely ate lunch today. My hand froze mid-peel. He didn't say anything else. Just went back to reading his papers. I suddenly realized that being seen isn't about grand gestures. Sometimes it's just someone noticing you didn't eat lunch, knowing you don't like spicy food, understanding that you don't like to be disturbed when you're working. When we got to the station, Liam walked me to my apartment building. My new apartment was near the hospital, a 2-bedroom with a big balcony. The cat tree took up half the wall. He didn't come upstairs, just handed me my suitcase. Are you free tomorrow? I'm sleeping in the morning, then going over patient charts in the afternoon. Good night then. I nodded. Good night, as the elevator doors closed. I saw him standing there waiting until my floor light came on before he turned around. There was an unread email from Ethan in my phone. The hallway light turned on and my cat meowed from inside the door. I deleted the email and opened the door. The next time I saw Ethan was at the project results press conference. He wasn't there to see me. His company had lost the co-sponsorship because of the PR scandal, but they still wanted to be part of the follow-up charity work. The press conference was held in the West Side General Hospital auditorium. Dr. Thompson and I were sitting in the first row, and Liam was speaking on behalf of the rehabilitation center. Ethan was sitting in the back, quiet the whole time. After the conference, several business representatives came up to hand out business cards. Ethan walked over. 2. He didn't push through the crowd. He just stood at the back. When everyone else had left, he spoke. Dr. Bennett, our company would like to donate a batch of wound care equipment to the community hospitals. Dr. Thompson glanced at me. I didn't say anything. Liam asked, didn't your company withdraw from the project? Ethan nodded. This donation is anonymous. No logos. No press releases. Just equipment. Dr. Thompson looked interested. Do you have a list? Ethan handed him the file. The list was detailed, from basic dressing kits to mobile exam lights. No fancy stuff. Dr. Thompson flipped through it and nodded. We can discuss this. Ethan looked at me. What do you think? Dr. Bennett. The title made the other people around us glance at him. I said, as long as the equipment meets the standards. His eyes dimmed slightly, but he recovered quickly. All right. After he finished talking, he didn't linger. He just turned and left. Zoe whispered to me, he finally learned what boundaries are. I said, better late than never. Are you softening up? No. A month after the press conference, the first batch of equipment arrived in Rivertown. When we went to inspect it, we found every box had a detailed inventory list taped to it. The handwriting was Ethan's. The local nurse said the donor was really thoughtful. They even made instruction videos, so we don't mix anything up. I nodded. I didn't say anything. People can change, but that doesn't mean I have to go back to the way things were. After the inspection, I ran into Liam in the hallway. He was looking at the equipment boxes. Mr. Carter did a good job with this. Does it make you uncomfortable? I thought about it. No. Good. He handed me a patient chart. That elderly man's wound is healing really well. He wanted you to come take a look. In the hospital room, the old man smiled when he saw me. Dr. Bennett, I can walk a few steps now. His daughter was holding his arm, her eyes shining. The old man slowly stood up and took 3 steps. Everyone in the room clapped. I looked at his leg and I felt completely at peace. That old relationship was like an old house. I'd taken out the air conditioner, moved all the furniture, left holes in the walls. But a new life isn't about patching up old walls. It's about opening a new door. It's about watching patients stand up again. It's about your cat sunbathing on the balcony. It's about someone holding up a lopsided welcome sign at the train station. On the drive back to the city, Liam asked me, "Are you free this weekend? WHY.M. Why nephew Aiden wants to meet the cat from the drawing." I looked at him. He looked completely sincere, and I'd like to meet her, too. Honestly, I laughed a little. She has a bad temper that I can bring cat treats. Saturday afternoon. Then, he nodded. Perfect. My phone vibrated. Ethan had sent a text. Did the equipment arrive? I replied with 2 words that IT did. He texted back right away. Good. No more. No less. I put my phone back in my bag. Liam asked work stuff, sort of. He didn't ask any more questions. The streetlights passed by outside the window, one after another. I suddenly realized that the right person won't make you explain every silence. They'll accept the silence as part of the answer. Saturday afternoon, Liam brought Aiden to my apartment. The little boy was 6 years old, carrying a huge bag of cat treats. He bowed to the cat as soon as he walked in. Pretty cat lady, can I pet you? The cat sat on top of the cat tree, flicking her tail. Liam translated seriously. She says she wants to see the offerings first. Aiden immediately held out the cat treats. I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. The sun was shining that afternoon. Zoe also dropped by with a cake. She saw Liam washing strawberries in the kitchen and leaned over to whisper in my ear, "This one's a keeper. He even takes the stems off." I pushed her away. "Stop talking nonsense. Nonsense. Look at the way he looks at you. Like you're a rare and complicated case that needs long-term follow-up. What kind of metaphor is that? The accurate kind." Aiden was drawing in the living room. He drew me, Liam, Zoe, and the cat. He'd even drawn the equipment boxes Ethan had donated. I asked, "What's that?" Aiden said, "Uncle Liam said the doctor lady helps lots of people stand up, and those boxes help, too. Kids see the world simply. If something helps people, it's good. They don't care who donated it or what story is behind it." I suddenly felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The past was in its place. It wasn't blocking the road anymore. That night, when I walked them downstairs, Liam hung back a little. "Sorry for intruding today." "You didn't. Aiden really likes your cat. The cat likes his cat treats, too." He smiled. When the elevator got to the first floor, he suddenly asked, "Sam, can I ask you out?" The question was direct. I looked at him. I just got out of a 5-year relationship. I know. I might not be ready to start something new right away. I know that, too. I have a lot of boundaries. That's not a flaw. I was silent for a moment. "Then you can try." He didn't lean in. Didn't say anything cheesy. He just nodded, "All right." The wind blew in from outside, carrying the faint scent of jasmine. When I got home, I saw that Ethan had posted something on Instagram. It was a photo of the equipment boxes arriving at the Rivertown Hospital. Though it was short, "Some mistakes can't fix the past. They can only help make the present better." A mutual friend had commented, finally acting like a man. Another one asked, "Are you still waiting for her?" He replied, "She doesn't need to look back." I stared at it for a few seconds, then scrolled past. I didn't like it, but I didn't block him either. After that, Ethan never contacted me privately again. We'd run into each other occasionally at charity project meetings, and he'd always call me Dr. Bennett politely. Sophie left the city for good. Jade told me her cousin had to pay damages for the video and defamation, and the restaurant had fired her. Sophie had tried to contact Ethan a few times, but the front desk always turned her away. By the time these stories reached me, they didn't matter anymore. I was busy with training, clinics, and project reviews. I was also busy having slow dinners with Liam, going to art exhibits, and taking my cat to the vet. Liam was terrible at dating. He never showed up with 999 roses out of the blue, but he'd leave a hot meal at the nurse's station with a note that said, "Eat even just 2 bites." After I'd done 3 surgeries in a row, he never said, "I can't live without you." Boo. Teasingly, he'd ask, "Oh, you want me to bring your materials to the meeting tomorrow?" He never made decisions for me. Once, there was a disagreement between Ethan's donation plan and our team's approach. Liam asked me, you want to recuse yourself from this? I said that, no. He nodded, then I'll handle it according to the work process. That was enough. Love, as an adult, isn't about carrying you away from the world. It's about respecting the person you are in the world. 6 months later, the community project won a provincial award. On the day of the award ceremony, I went up on stage as the team representative. There were a lot of people in the audience. Dr. Thompson, Zoe, Liam, Mrs. Carter, and Ethan. Mrs. Carter had come on her own. She'd texted me, saying she wanted to watch me receive the award. I'd told her she was welcome. Ethan was sitting next to her wearing a black suit. He looked much calmer than he had 6 months ago, and he didn't try to talk to me the whole time. I stood on the stage listening to the host read the project results. This project has been piloted in 12 community hospitals, helping over 300 patients receive standardized wound care treatment. As the applause broke out, I saw Zoe holding up her phone to take pictures and Liam smiling from the audience. In that moment, I thought back to that night at the ER entrance, the passenger seat, the scarf, the stomach ache, the be understanding. Those words had once felt like nails driven into my heart. Now, they were just a note in a patient's chart. Diagnosis clear, treatment prompt, prognosis good. After the ceremony, Mrs. Carter came over to me. She handed me a bouquet of white camellias. Congratulations. I took them. Thank you, Eleanor. She looked at me, her eyes a little wet. I always thought that if you married Ethan, I'd gain a daughter. But I realize now that daughters aren't gained through marriage. The fact that you still call me Eleanor is enough. I hugged her gently. Take care of yourself. Ethan was standing a few feet away, not coming over. After Mrs. Carter left, he walked closer. Dr. Bennett, congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Carter. He smiled a little. The title, with 6 months of distance between us, finally didn't sting anymore. My mom really likes you. She's a wonderful person. Yeah. He looked toward the exit. Liam was waiting for me there, holding my coat. Ethan looked back at me. You're happy now. I am. Good. He paused for a second. Sam, I always thought you couldn't live without me. But I realize now that I was the one who couldn't live without the version of myself that you took such good care of. I didn't say anything. He continued, I'm learning to take care of myself now, and I'm learning not to take other people's kindness for granted. That's good. He smiled. I won't bother you again. He said it calmly, like he meant it. I nodded. Goodbye. Goodbye. He turned and walked toward Mrs. Carter. I walked over to Liam with the flowers. He handed me my coat. Cold, a little. What do you want for dinner? Chicken noodle soup. The place downstairs. Yeah. Zoe ran up behind us. Count me in. My arms are sore from taking all those pictures. Liam said, Sure. Zoe nodded happily, then noticed the flowers in my arms. White camellias. Who sent those? Eleanor. They're beautiful. I looked down at the flowers. 6 months ago, Ethan had been at the wedding planner's office, saying the bride loves white camellias and insisting on the best ones. He'd remembered what I liked, but remembering isn't the same as cherishing. Now the flowers were in my hands, not for a wedding, not for anyone's pride, just to congratulate me. That was perfect. The noodle shop was warm and steamy. Zoe gossiped about the latest drama in the department. Liam chimed in occasionally, and my cat sent a notification from the automatic feeder that she'd eaten her dinner. I sipped my soup, and I suddenly realized life isn't as complicated as we make it. If a seat makes you uncomfortable, stand up. If someone doesn't respect you, leave. If a scarf is dirty, throw it away. If someone takes your kindness for granted, take it back. If someone actually sees you, let them come closer. After dinner, we walked along the road behind the hospital. Liam asked, you want to go to Aiden's art show this weekend? The kindergarten art show. Yeah. He drew 20 cats and insists the pretty cat lady's owner has to come judge them. I laughed. All right. The streetlights stretched our shadows long behind us. He didn't try to hold my hand. When we got to the crosswalk, I reached out and took his. His hand froze for a second. Then he laced his fingers through mine, gently. The grip was light, like a question, like respect. I thought back to that seat in the car. I used to think that if someone took what was mine, I'd lost. But I've learned that what's truly mine was never the seat in that car. It was the right to get out whenever I wanted and the courage to choose a different road. The wind blew, and a white camellia petal brushed my wrist. I walked forward. I didn't look back.